If I ran the zoo, this is what I do. If I ran the zoo, this is what I do.
It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew. And the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I'd make a few changes. That's just what I do. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have up here now are not quite good enough. You see things like these in just any old zoo. They're awfully old-fashioned. I want something new. So I'd open each cage, I'd unlock each pen, let animals go and start over again. And somehow or other, I think I could find some beasts of a much more unusual kind.
If I ran the zoo, this is what I do. If I ran the zoo, this is what I do.
A four-footed lion? Not much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. 5 legs on the left, 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, what a sight. This new keeper Gerald's quite keen. That's the gold darnest lion I've ever seen. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people talk. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people gawk at the strangest odd creatures, that ever did walk. I get for my zoo a new sort of hen who roosts in another top knot, and then another one roosts in the top knot of his, another one in his, another one in his, and so forth and upward and onward, gee whiz.
If I ran the zoo, this is what I do.
But that's just a start. I'll do better than that. They'll see me next day in my zookeeper's hat, coming into my zoo with my elephant cat, yeah. They'll be so surprised they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask when they see my strange animals come, where do you suppose he gets things like that from? His animals all have such very odd faces. I bet he must hunt them in rather odd places.
This is what I do,
said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go to places quite out of the way. You have to go to places no others can get to. You have to get cold and you have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my Skigamobile and bring back a family of what do you know, and that's how my new school, McGrew School, will grow. I'll hunt in the mountains of Zumba Maten with helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant and capture a fine fluffy bird called a bustard who only eats custard with sauce made of mustard, and also a fine beast called the fluster who only eats mustard with sauce made of custard. I'll catch 'em in caves, I'll catch 'em in brooks, I'll catch 'em in crannies, I'll catch 'em in nooks that you don't read about in geography books. I'll catch 'em in countries that no one can spell, like the country of Matafa, Patafa, Pel. In a country like that, if the hunter is clever, he can hunt beasts that you never saw ever.
If I ran the zoo,
I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel skin coats and sit like dogs but have voices like goats, except they can't sing the very high notes. And then I'd go down to the wilds of Nantucket and capture a family of lunks in a bucket. Then people would say, now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is growing by leaps. He catches them wild, he catches them meek, he catches them slim, and he catches them sleek. What do you suppose he will capture next week?
If I ran the zoo,
I'll capture one tiny, I'll capture one cute. I'll capture a deer that no hunter would shoot. A deer that's so nice he could sleep in your bed if it weren't for the horns that he had on his head. And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, two sisters, a brother, whose horns are connected from one to the other. Whose horns are so mixed they can't tell them apart. Can't tell where they end, can't tell where they start. Each deer might be puzzled, he never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way around. I'll capture them fat, I'll capture them scrawny. I'll capture a scraggle-toothed mulligatawny, a high-stepping animal fast as the wind from the blistering sands of the desert of Zin. This beast is a beast that the brave chieftain ride when they want to go fast to find some place to hide. A mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring one back too.
If I ran the zoo.
In the far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a very fine animal called an iota, but I'll capture one who is even more finer in the northeast and west part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, now by thunder, this new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is really a wonder.
This is what I do.
Most beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it, a hunter can never get bit. A zoo should have bugs, so I'll capture a throw whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. And then I'll go out and I'll capture some chugs, some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bug.
This is what I do.
I'll go to the African island of Yurka and bring back a tizzle-top tufted mazurka, a kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long if he swallows an oat for breakfast the first day of April, they say it has to go down such a very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May.
If I ran the zoo.
I'll bag a big bug who is very surprising, a fellow who has a propeller for rising and zooming around, making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. Now that sort of thing for a bug is just top.
This is what I do.
And when I caught him, the next thing you know, I'll go and I'll capture a wild tic-tac-toe with X's that win and zeros that lose. He'll look mighty good in the zoo of McGrew. I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, and also a gooch from the wilds of Nantasket. And 8 Persian princes will carry the basket. But what's their names? I don't know, so don't ask it.
This is what I do.
In a cave in Khartoum lives a beast called the Natch that no other hunter's been able to catch. He's hidden for years in the cave with a pout, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him out with a wonderful meal that's cooked by my cooks in the cooker-mobile. They'll fix up a dish that is just to his taste, 3 chicken croquettes made of library paste, then sprinkled with peanut shucks pickled and spiced, then baked at 600 degrees and then ice. It's mighty hard cooking to cook up such feasts, but that's how the new zoo, McGrew Zoo, gets beast.
If I ran the zoo.
I'll go to the faraway mountains of tops near the river of Knops, and I'll bring back an ops, a sort of a kind of a thing of a bops, who only eats rhubarb and corn on the cops. Then people will flock to my zoo in the mops. McGrew, they will say,